Okay, can I start, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Even though I'm not qualified, I will still try to do my service for the pleasure of Vaishnavas and Guru and Gauranga. So please bless me that I can speak something meaningful and share what I have also learned and heard from my gurus and both Shiksha gurus as well as Diksha guru. So thank you again. We'll start with the reading of the verse. We're gonna do Canto 3, chapter 29, and verse number 23. So we'll do the verse first. Dvishata parakaye manino bhinna darshinaha bhuteshu baddha vairasya na manaha shantim richati. Dvishataha parakaye manino bhinna darshinaha bhuteshu baddha vairasya na manaha shantim richati. द्विशतः परकाये मानिनो भिन्नदर्शिनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरास्य न मनः शान्तिमृच्छति. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dvishataha, of one who is envious, parakaye, towards the body of another, mam, unto me, maninaha, offering respect, Bhinna darshinaha, of a separatist, bhuteshu, towards living entities, baddha vairasya, of one who is inimical, na, not, manaha, the mind, shantim, peace, richati, attains. Translation: one who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Purport. In this verse, two phrases, bhuteshu baddha vairasya, which means inimical towards others, and dvishataha parakaye, which means envious of another's body, are significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord Himself in His plenary expansion as Supersoul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been encaged within material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry a message or, or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Krishna consciousness. Thus, they may be elevated or to transcendental spiritual life, and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings. But in human society, it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Krishna consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than human can be raised to Krishna consciousness by other methods. For example, Shivananda Sena, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, delivered a dog by feeding him prasada. Distribution of prasada or Sorry, Matajis and Prabhujis. I'm so sorry. My internet just kind of crashed, so I am going to go through this with my phone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So it is specially mentioned here that a devotee must be free from all violence, jiva himsa. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entity. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetables, foodstuffs, isn't that violence? Firstly, however, taking some leaves, twigs, or fruit from a tree or a plant does not kill the plant. Besides that, Jiva Himsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be disturbed in his gradual evolution. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotional service exactly as they are, and he must know that however insignificant living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize this universal presence of the Lord. So we'll do the prayers first. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So just reading the translation once more. So one who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. So again, thank you so much everyone for giving me this opportunity to speak something from this transcendental literature. I know we just completed this wonderful series of glorification of this wonderful literature. And we're very fortunate that we get to discuss this part now with each other about the devotional service of, the explanation by Lord Kapila to Mother Devahuti. And the section specifically that we're going to discuss today is about the offenses that are obstacles in bhakti and the solutions of those offenses. And he's already explained the different classes of bhakti, which Mother Devahuti had asked in the beginning of the chapter. And this verse addresses this, very crucial and important contradiction that we sometimes, we sometimes think to ourselves, right? How can someone, or even ourselves sometimes, how can we be considered a devotee, or how can someone else be a devotee but is still disturbed, and they're without peace? And this verse explains, and clarifies what this definition of what true devotion means and what a true vision of a pure devotee should be. So our internal state of mind, really, I was thinking about, is it is a direct reflection of our treatment of others. So true spiritual progress is not just about some external rituals that we perform, but it's about the internal transformation of the heart. And the key phrases that we'll be exploring today are this envious of the bodies of others, or the separatist, and this inimical behavior towards other living entities. So, it says in the beginning of this verse, it says, Dvishataha parakayamam. So it means that this is the envious of the bodies of others, but offering me respect. Me means the Lord, right? And this describes a person basically who might go to the temple. He does all the worshiping and all this, singing, dancing, performs all these different outward, acts of devotion. But they really, and then they themselves also believe that they're pure devotees of the Lord. However, their vision is very limited. So this person sees another person and identifies them strictly by their material body. For example, someone can be very rich, or someone from a different religion. So that person is a different color, or they're from some different caste, or this is an animal, or this is an insect, a bird. So all of that and so forth, right? So sometimes even amongst devotees, we see this happening. And this envy arises from this bodily distinction, as we can see, right? The designation that we associate ourselves with and others with. And this is kind of a deep-rooted desire somewhere in living entities, to see another person fail or suffer. It's this symptom of insecurity and the lack of the spiritual vision. So it's like if we imagine, for example, a doctor, he's performing some surgery and he's only treating the patient's clothing, not the person's body inside. He can be meticulously arranging all the different clothes, decorating, but completely then he ignores the actual disease affecting the body. And similarly, this person who has this kind of mentality, he respects the Lord, but isn't, respectful to the other living entities. And then it talks about a separatist, right? What that is, the manino bhinna darshinaha. So this separatist, we've been discussing from a while too. And this person is someone who, in simple terms, creates divisions amongst all of the people, and themselves, of course. And this root of this separation is, again, the bodily concept of life. And this world is like really full of these divisions, right? We have nationality, religion, caste, gender, some economic status, and so on. So all of these are designations based on this temporary material body, which is this cause of this enviousness and animosity, and the separatist. And then a true devotee, however, he's considered a Mahatma, right? So he sees everyone as a spirit soul, a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And the purport of, mentions this also, that he should ignore the bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord himself, in his plenary expansion as Super Soul. So this is the only way, really, that we can even come out of this separatist mentality. Just wanted to also see, okay, so we have the separatist mentality. What happens when you have this kind of mentality? And the consequence that, the Lord Kapila says here is that this person does not attain peace of mind. So it's bhuteshu baddha vairasya namanaha shantim richati. Because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities, this person's mind, it never attains peace. So this is basically the direct consequence. You cannot have enmity in your heart and at the same time expect to feel tranquil and peaceful. Because as soon as you have enmity, you're going to have agitation in your mind. So this is the chain of this cause and effect, right? The bodily concept of life. When I identify myself with my body
and its temporary designations, which is the cause of this. And these kind of feelings really, naturally arise from comparison and competition based on this bodily differences. So why does this happen is because, when sometimes we can see that, we're deeply somewhere thinking, why does this person have this? I am better than her, or I am better than him, or even in devotional service, right? I wanted this service. How come I didn't get this service? Or why, that person is not fit to do this service. We kind of try to like just find different kind of faults because of the differences, the bodily differences and the designation differences. And this is why there's no peace of mind, because this mind then, it becomes this battlefield of anger, jealousy, and fear. So it is constantly then agitated by these external events, which is again, when we see and perceive the success of others. And this person who has this thinks that they are serving God, but their actions towards the God's children, right? All the other devotees or living entities, even for even people who are not devotees, they are not really not happy to see them or think themselves as similar to God. They don't see the super soul within these different individuals. And so when we are creating hatred towards other living entities, or hatred is a strong word, maybe even differences, and we don't act nice to someone else, then how can our father be happy, right? Even when a father has two children, let's say, or different children, right? One children can be very bad, but that father will still be hurt when that child who's not so good will, if he gets hurt. So the father really gets pain when we start seeing others in this kind of different mentality, and separate them from ourselves, or even think of ourselves as some better than someone else. So the thing I'm trying to get to is, what is this vision of a pure devotee? When do we attain this peace of mind? And this purport like kind of gives us the solution, right? And the ideal vision of the pure devotee. Prabhupada says that it is the vision of a perfect devotee free from all violence, or the jiva himsa. So this pure devotee, even we read in Bhagavad Gita, right, that he sees the spirit soul in all the different types of bodies. He sees the presence of the super soul, or the Paramatma, in everyone. That doesn't mean that he considers everyone God, right? We're not Mayavadis, or we're not thinking everyone is God. But at the same time, we understand there is a super soul, the Paramatma feature within everyone's heart. There is that Lord, right, residing in everyone's heart. And this vision really transcends, or helps us transcend all this material classifications that we have. So, the example is given even in the purport, but in general, right? A devotee sees some dog, and he doesn't just see this dog as a dog. He sees this person or this dog as a living entity, and a spirit soul who is part and parcel of the God. And he's currently in this body of a dog because of some past karma that he might have committed. And that way, when you start thinking in these terms, you naturally develop this compassion for that soul. And this compassionate vision kind of leads us to perform compassionate actions. And this purport really mentions the example of the Shivananda Sena, right? He was a devotee of the Lord. He fed this dog prasada, and that is the spiritual act. It's not just some gesture. That's the compassionate action that he's really performing, because by giving this dog prasad, he's also giving a direct connection for this dog to the Supreme Lord, because prasad is this mercy of the Lord, right? So he's giving, in Prabhupada explains it, that this Mahatma, he gives a chance for the spiritual elevation to even non-qualified people. So this principle of this jiva himsa, or non-violence, is that it means that we shouldn't disturb some gradual elevation or evolution of the living entity. So every soul that we know is on a different journey through different species and different means. And the devotee's goal, the pure devotee's goal and vision should be to help this person, not really hinder the journey, their journey to the Lord. So this is basically the difference between a materialist and a devotee, because materialist may kill for some their own pleasure, sense gratification, or just out of anger, right? They're completely engulfed by their emotions. But a devotee, if they must take a life, so it explains in the purport, right, that like eating vegetables is mentioned. It's they do this with the sense of necessity, and also with understanding that they are taking only what is required for existence, right? It's from Ishopanishad, we don't take extra. We just need to take what is required for the existence, for the service of the Lord. And this act, this kind of act, when we start doing all this in this way, then that's not, driven by animosity or some violence. So this is something I wanted to just share from the purport itself. Now, it's just some of my reflections that I was thinking while going through this verse. It's a beautiful verse, right? It's a guideline for everyone on the spiritual path. So I was introspecting then, and I think we should, just a food for thought kind of thing, right? We should all try to introspect. Like, how do we feel when someone succeeds or fails? Ask and keep this in mind, that if someone succeeds in something that we are not good at, then we don't care. But the competition mentality really occurs when, let's say, we are good in something and someone else is also good at the same thing, or even better than that. When do we, or like, how do we feel when we see that happening? Do we start finding these faults with them? Oh, I could have done better. I could have, he could have done this way, this way. We try to like give some advice on like how this person could have done better. And deep rootedly, when we do this, yes, if you're in the position to guide someone, of course you need to, and when asked, of course, not just you have the you're not just the guide to someone, but at the same time, the person has to ask you for feedback. When that happens, that's when you can give some, constructive feedback. But otherwise, we're still thinking, when someone's not even asking for advice, we start giving them advice thinking, oh, you could have done this, or this could have been better. But why do we do that? Have you ever thought why do we do that? Because we have this feeling inside us that, oh, we could have done better. It's a very subtle way to think. But this is how we feel when someone does something that maybe we could be good at as well. Of course, if I'm not a singer and someone else sings very well, I'll praise that person, right? Yes, you sing very well, because I have no mode to compete, because I know that I won't do it, right? I'm not good at it. But on the other hand, if someone, if I like to dance and I'm a good dancer and then someone else is dancing, then I'll start thinking, oh, I could have done this better, and so forth. So, keep in mind, I was listening to this lecture before, and His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and it says that he said that only when we are good at something, that is when we begin finding faults and having this competitive mentality. So if the answer is yes to any of these kind of things, if we do this, then we must sincerely pray and consciously, we have to be conscious about this and catch ourselves when we do this. Try to praise that person for their efforts and see the good things, so that we can come out of this mentality. Because when we have some enviousness towards others, the only way to get over it is really start seeing their good qualities and praising them. Yes, it may, and praying for them, because when we start praying for this person, when we start praising this person, it kind of reduces that mentality that we have for the enviousness for this person. So, practicing compassion again, right? We start small. And how do we do that? It's like, the simple rule that I follow that I'll just share is, when someone is doing something wrong, or even purposefully, let's say sometimes, but if we give the benefit of doubt, and try to understand and justify their behavior, we can think, and how we justify is like, we can think that maybe it's their lack of knowledge. Everyone is on a different path, right? So someone's on a different step in the ladder of going going towards the spiritual progress. Doesn't mean that they're just wrong, right? They're just trying to elevate themselves too gradually. So we shouldn't hinder that progress. And it's the lack of knowledge sometimes that people have, right? Sometimes people do something wrong because they just don't know, or there's some past karma that they had gone through, right? They might have gone through some very troublesome childhood, or some situation which caused them to become very hard-hearted when they're in this materialistic life, and that kind of nature stays with you, right? Even when you become a devotee, because you're trying to get rid of this. But when we start giving this kind of benefit of doubt to everyone, we start feeling that compassion for them, and that's when we'll start seeing the part and parcel of the Lord. And we have to see the soul, not just the body, right? So this is the ultimate practice that we have to imbibe. And so when you interact with someone, next time, try to remember that you are interacting with a spirit soul and the reflection of the Supreme Lord. So this practice kind of generally, or gradually, it will dissolve the walls of this envy and the separation. So just to conclude now, the path to true peace it does not come from external circumstances or from performing rituals externally, right? It comes from this internal state of being, and it comes from the heart that is free from envy and animosity. It comes from seeing this divine spark in all of the living entities and living beings. So let us pray to the Supreme Lord to give us this vision of the pure devotee, so that we may also see ourselves as one family of spirit souls. And in doing so, we can find the true peace of mind that we're all seeking. And with that peace of mind, also gradually elevate ourselves in the process of devotional service. So with that, I'd like to end. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Please feel free to share any of your realizations, thoughts, or if there are any corrections, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I couldn't join through my laptop, so it kicked me out, so I'm just on my phone.
Hare Krishna, please accept our obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada. Thank you. I think lots of practical instructions and, day-to-day activities. How can we apply these teachings? So it was very instructive for me. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Mathaji. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Lila, please accept my humble obeisances.
Thank you.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. You have covered a very deep-rooted look into our mentality when, operating on our own or observing others. But this is a very natural thing, this comparative thinking. We have to, somehow avoid that one and be aware of that one. What's going on in my mind? And then there is some story about the crow watching the peacock dancing. Once, there's some story like that came into my mind. So this is a natural thing. We have to understand it and be aware. And that you gave a very practical approach how to look into ourselves and proceed. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Very educated. Very educated.
The story of peacock is dancing, and this crow is thinking, oh, how beautiful, I wish I had that. And the peacock is also thinking that for something else, how the cuckoo bird is singing, because the voice of peacock is not so good. So it sees the koel, right, the cuckoo bird, singing so beautifully and thinking that, oh, I wish I had this. So everyone, in the general rule of thumb is that everyone is saying that someone else has something better. But in turn, when we start understanding that there's so much variegatedness, everyone is good in something. Just because I'm not good at something, and for that I'm not good at, someone else may have something that I don't have, and someone else may not have something that I have. So it's just this understanding that Krishna has created all living beings very, with different varieties of entities and different kinds of thoughts. Doesn't mean anyone is wrong, and doesn't mean anyone is right. It's just the way that they're separate progress. Everyone has their own progress, and that they have to go through. So our perspective should only be that, yes, everyone is created different, but Krishna loves all his children, whoever they are. And someone seemingly could be still, we should never compare ourselves like, oh, I'm not good at something, because I could be good at something else that someone else is not good in, because that will prevent us from having this enviousness, or begin enviousness within our hearts.
So the thing is to understand it's kind of not to go into a guilt trip or put somebody into that corner. It is just a matter of being, have an educated approach. You're very good in conveying that one. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Tanvat Pranamal Srila Prabhupada. I don't know how Sandhya Mataji pointed me that I'm a crow in almost a conditioning life of millions of years. So the point what I'm telling is, our nature might be even a crow or something else. That's because we have earned it ourselves. It's not that Krishna gave us this. We were earning every day. That means whatever we do, it's based on our reaction, our karma, our conditioning happening. And the point is, now somehow we came to the service of devotion, that means devotion service, and we are getting awareness, and then there also we'll see the differences. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. That means we are not still in that point of maturity of coming to the devotion. We are still, because it takes time anyway, right? Because of the condition of millions of years, with time immemorial, we are in that conditioning state. How can we expect the improvement in a day? That means, I came to Krishna ISKCON for a few years, and then, why am I this? Why am I that? No, this is just natural. So we cannot blame ourselves, but at least we are aware, be aware of what we are trying to do. And it takes our own time, and we don't have to feel guilty ourselves. I am envy, I am this, I am that. We are all on the same path. We're all on the same path. At least one good thing is, we are fortunate enough that we are at least came to this kind of life. What if we have not come to this life, at least this kind of life? What I mean to say, this practice of consciousness, our trying to practice the consciousness of Krishna, that means the purity of becoming a human being. First of all, human being means at least, oh, I understood what I am. So that nature has not come to us. Why? Because if you look at the animalistic nature, they're still fighting each other, because that is their nature. And we have come from that nature from time immemorial, and we have not come to the point of human. Even though you have taken a body of human being, we have not attained that. So that is the problem for us. But at least that is why we call, even we take a devotions path of devotion service, oh, we are still that. Yeah, that is what we call as a maturity of understanding that I am still in that state of mind, that I am this, I am that. And it will take, eventually we come to a state of mind that, oh my God. That means, think about it. a person of 70, 80 years, by experience, if somebody, a small kid talking about this, oh, you know what, I know this. I know this happens to everyone. So the person, like very experienced man, he laughs at, smiles at the person who is talking about like that, right?
Mm.
So the same thing, the children talking, children playing, they're fighting. What does the parents do? You know what? This is the same thing for all of us. Similarly, similarly, when coming to the point of whether it's 40, 50 years, then we compare to the um, elderly person.
Mm.
So then what do they think? Similarly, when Maharaj, when we all go and talk, Maharaj, I am this, I am that. And what does the spiritual master think? Yeah, you've gone through all this.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And then even when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada was there, and all disciples, followers of Prabhupada, they were all doing nonsense earlier,
Mhm.
and Prabhupada tolerated,
Yes.
right? Prabhupada tolerated. And so this is because why did he tolerate? He knows this is the nature of human being. It takes some time for maturity, right? So
Mhm.
that's how, when I remember one husband and wife was fighting each other, and then finally they seek shelter of Radhanath Maharaj. Of course, they're disciples.
Mm.
And then Maharaj said, you have to tolerate each other. You're so and so, so. And then one point of time, he said, so many disciples, so many people, how I tolerate, because how my disciples treat you, and you're my disciples. And how do I tolerate? And how did Prabhupada tolerate us?
Mm. Yes.
That's the kind of a maturity we need to understand. Otherwise, we are still in the
Yes.
bodily consciousness. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
we are saying that I'm not the body, I'm the soul, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. One day there is one pain in the leg, and then think about whether you have a body or you are a soul, you'll feel,
Yeah.
no, I am the body. It's paining.
Right.
Anyway,
Yes.
Mataji, thank you for your class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, I completely agree with you, Prabhu. So it's like it's a matter of time too, right? Sometimes it's understanding. 2 points that came to my mind was like because we've been in the animalistic bodies before, right? I was hearing a lecture of Amoghita Prabhu, and he was talking about this, different types of people. And one example that came to my mind was about, when there are people who just completely thinks everything is an offense. They take everything as an offense to themselves, and they start, clarifying, justifying, defending themselves, basically. And it's like he was comparing those kind of people to these, this mentality of having the electric fish, right? Even if someone just touches this electric fish, it just like gives the current, whether or not like someone's trying to not harm, nothing, but just because of the touch, it'll start giving the current to to the people. So that's similarity of this mentality with people who are always taking these things as defensively, or defending themselves because they take things offensively. So that's what I was thinking about. And of course, as you said, it is a matter of time and maturity. It's not overnight that we're going to start thinking, oh, I'm not this body, and I'm the soul. Of course, we have to understand that this body is given, and we we read that, right? We have to use the best, we have to best bargain for this worst kind of thing that we have, right? So we have to engage this in the service of the Lord, and the service of the Vaishnavas. It's not that we're not going to become numb to the emotions or anything yet, right? We're not going to become that way, but we're going to understand that yes, this is the body that has been given as a gift from the Lord, so that I can perform devotional service. So we kind of respect the body from that perspective, versus just neglecting it and thinking we're all just souls. It's not impersonalist kind of philosophy that Lord Kapila is trying to
Yeah,
tell.
one thing comes to a mind, that is
Mm.
to my mind. When we apply tilak on our body, what do we think? Because Krishna is sitting in the heart, and we are treating the body as a temple, and we apply all the tilak the parts of the body,
Mm.
right? So that
Yes.
means we may not be aware of what we are doing, but we are applying
Yes.
tilak every day. But we haven't come to a consciousness, oh, this is a body where Krishna is residing, a super soul residing in the heart. And
Right.
then we are decorating our body with all these tilaks because Krishna is residing in one way. But
Mhm.
we may not, we are just the sake of doing, we're doing, but we may
Mhm.
not be aware of what we are doing.
Yeah. It's important to know, right, the why. I think when we understand the why, the purpose, whatever we do, to stick to it for the long run and for lifetimes, is when we understand we have a purpose. When we're chanting, what is the purpose? It's not that we want materialistic benefit or anything, but it's more of like, I want to get the love of God. Krishna, I want your love. You have to be very determined. When you have that purpose and determination, that's when you can progress. Otherwise, when you start thinking, yes, I know I'm not there yet, but you don't do anything about it, then it's like you just kind of stay at the standstill, thinking, there's no, it's not some just mercy that's going to be, magically given. We have to also endeavor from our side to know that, yes, I have this problem, but let me work on it. We have to be conscious when we make these kind of, distinctions between different devotees or even between ourselves, that, okay, this is what's happening, right? Consciously knowing that I'm doing this and stop it there, versus, keep on going in that route of distinctions, making distinctions.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. There are lot to learn, but of course we are still in the path of making sambandha with Krishna, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are saying love, but we are not, as you said, it's quite far, it's far out. Love means to Krishna is not far out. We are still developing that sambandha. Then will come abhidheya and prayojana. That's a long way to go, but at least we are trying. That's the
Yes,
only thing.
yes.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
that is it. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I know we went a little over time here. Thank you for all staying with me. We can end now then, if anyone else has anything else. Otherwise, we can complete our discussion today. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.